I don't know what the initial idea was. I thought it was, well, Cadillac fans.
And I believe the only part of the Camaro that is Cadillac-ish.
I imagine the Cadillac fins they're long and sleek and smooth. They're not big hunks of upright, you know. But I don't know Cadillacs very well, I suppose.
We cut them out of cardboard. We taped them together with duct tape. Great stuff. And then we filled them with pieces of styrofoam and beer cans and whatever else we could find to fill them to give them some heft. And you were a big part of it too. We slathered it with fiberglass, and we just kept on frying our brain cells.
You know, I'm surprised you remember that because it didn't stick.
Me too. Me too. The stuff was. It was like, you know, like when you're a kid and you're working on a model using that model glue that has really bad fumes.
Right, and your parents make you shut the door because they don't want any noise.
Yeah, and they don't
turn off the AC.
And they don't want that nasty, that bad smell coming into the rest of the house.
They told me.
They lock you in your bedroom.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that, only worse.
When I see the fins, I don't think of a Cadillac, for sure. When I see those fins, Cadillac does not come to mind.
We're getting a free high.
I love them. I think they're great. The only thing I wish is the lemon sign was a little bit bigger.
I think they're sturdy enough. My first thought was they were going to fly off as soon as we rounded the corner.
Yeah, they're not going to go anywhere. Those fins are not going unless we flip the car.
You know, if suddenly a big black hole opened up and that was the only thing I had to grab hold of, I don't think that would help a whole lot.
Like, what do the race rules kind of say about roll cages and seats and stuff?
They say that you're supposed to have them.
Roll cages are absolutely required.
The first race that we went to, I don't know that I really saw a whole lot of reason for that. But then this race, I saw 2 reasons why you might want to have one of those. Now would be a good time to go and clip in bring in those clips from YouTube or whatever.
The biggest problem we had with the roll cage was being able to weld all the pieces all the way around without having to cut parts of the car. But it turns out James took 2 Saturdays to weld everything anyway. We figured he could do it in one day. No, it took him 2 days. 2 full days of welding.
We bought a new one, and we got a great deal on a welder, and we paid him in beer and cash.
And beer. He earned that $400. 2 solid days of welding.
Did a great job. It broke a little part of our front windshield, but you know, he wasn't the first, he won't be the last.
But then again, I cracked the glass too, so I'm not gonna, I can't throw stones.
Tom wanted to spring for the cushion seat. Yeah, I'm glad he did, because it feels nice.
I do remember the first time I sat in the seat though, and it was a kid in a candy shop feeling.
I wanted one of those for my pickup truck, and for the living room.
My biggest contribution to the project for money-wise was buying the seat. The seat was, $450 between the adjustable seat and then the seat itself, and then the lap belts. You gotta buy that separate too. I bought all that.
It took a lot to get in. George had to do a lot of fabrication to make sure that it slid, forward and back, because we have, our difference in drivers. It goes from 6'2" down to 5'2" probably.
The seat, I had to cut into the frame for the car to be able to get it to fit.
We got the seat in. It was a big milestone,
You sat down in that seat. You grabbed the steering wheel. You started extending your feet to the pedals, and you buckled yourself in. I mean, that was it. It was like you couldn't wait to fire that thing up on race day and take that out to the track.
Hey George, this is the Rust Pirates racing team. We're not sure that this sounds okay, so we thought we'd get your opinion, see how it sounds. Okay. Does that sound okay? So call us back.
They got the engine running. They got the engine running.
It was amazing. I mean, we had some problems. You know, we had to get the fuel pump. You were there for that. The fuel pump. That was a fucking nightmare.
I think we had 3 weeks left before the race, I believe. I remember thinking if they didn't start, we only had like a handful of Wednesdays and Saturdays left. And that was it. You know, we'd already paid our entrance fees. We'd already paid, you know, for the car and the roll cage and the tires and everything. And it was going to be heartbreaking if it didn't, but it did.
So we needed to get some break-in miles on it, you know, because we just put it back together. We didn't want to race it with no miles on it.
We took it down up a couple of Georgetown back roads. Tom took it up first. Yeah, Kenny took it next, and then I took it, and then Casey took it, and that's when he got in trouble.
And so I'm cruising around this car in my helmet, and with full face helmet, mask down, like Darth Vader, and we're driving around, and this all of a sudden I look up to see some red and blue spinny lights behind me.
Probably within about 10 minutes of Casey being out there, I hear the radio crackle, and it's Casey. And I couldn't hear everything he said, but he says, "The police pulled over."
It was a cop. Yeah.
I thought, no. You know, you get pulled over in a race car like that. The police know you weren't just out there having a good time. They know that you were racing.
So anyways, I pull over, and apparently he'd been behind me for a while and I didn't notice, because he pulls up beside me. He doesn't even get out of his car. He just pulls up beside me, and I'm like struggling to get my helmet off because I got it strapped on, and I'm like, God dang, I kicked this fucking thing off, and I finally get it off, and he's yelling at me the whole time. I got my helmet on. I can't hear him, but he's yelling at me. I can see his mouth moving, and he's very animated when he's yelling at me, and I finally get my helmet off. He's like, "Oh, you can hear me now?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir." And he says, "You get that fucking piece of crap off the road right now, or I'm gonna haul your ass to prison," or something like that. Something to that effect. He wasn't very happy that I was driving on the road. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this person gets this misplaced sense of authority. If you're out there, thanks for not arresting me.
We were deciding up front, like a few days before the race, as to who was going to bring it down. And George thought he could bring it down.
And he was going to wake up at like 4 or 5 a.m. Friday morning to get it there by 8 a.m. when the gates open.
I would have taken it. It's just when Tom said, no, I'll take it. You know, he's got the truck there. He's going to pull it. It's like, all right, I don't have to wake up as early.
I just pulled it down with my pickup.